I was at a Baptist church not too long ago, and I was sitting with some folks, and there was one guy who was sitting in a chair, and every time the pastor would say something, he would say, my, right? That's what I'm saying, my. Yeah, can we give them some love? I need batteries. Can we give the band Go Deeper some love? I mean, they set up every Sunday, sang from their hearts. Yes, it's good. Let's take a moment to engage a little bit of kindness, a little bit act of love. Please get up, go tell somebody hi, look in their eyes, let them know they matter, let them know you love them. We're so happy they're here. Not Al Banks. What am I going to do without him? There we go. Good. All right, sir. Thank you. So we are continuing on that as we've been doing all year. Nope, it's not on. Yep. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, can we hear? Yeah, all right. So we are continuing on with our theme for the year, which is change. And our theme for this month is embrace change. Embrace change. Because the truth is that we are not here to rearrange, we are here to change. We're not here to rearrange, we are here to change. And that takes preparation. I was looking at the quote that Kutia provided for us this Sunday. And at the very bottom, there's a quote by Maya Angelou, and it says, "Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You can practice any virtue erratically, but nothing consistently without courage." And our affirmation today as well talked about courage. Today I embrace change with excitement, courage, and great expectancy. I think that was a note for me. You say not only does, in our attempt to not rearrange and to change, not only does it take preparation, but it takes courage. It takes courage. So I wanted to start off with a reading from Richard Living. This is Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. And I am reading from page 33. And in it, he says, oops, sorry, that was the wrong page. I'm sorry, I got my pages mixed up here. Okay, here we go. On page 321, it is titled, Today I Live. It says, the wisest man who ever lived told us that the knowledge of truth shall make us free. All books of spiritual wisdom have taught us that it is not the one who makes the mistake whom we should seek to destroy. It is the mistake itself which must be erased. Let me read that one again. All books of spiritual wisdom have taught us that it is not the one who makes the mistake whom we should seek to destroy. It is the mistake itself which must be erased. This means that evil has no existence in itself and has no history. No matter what the negations of yesterday may have been, the affirmations of today rise triumphant and transcendent over them. Thus, all evils of our yesterdays disappear into their native nothingness. If we behold beauty instead of ugliness, then beauty will appear. If we persist in seeing the true rather than the false, then that which is true will appear. Let us then cease weeping over the shortcomings and mistakes and evils of our yesterdays, and steadfastly behold the face of the great and the divine reality. Let us resolve to walk in the light wherein there is no darkness. And a little bit from page 334, same book, the title of this reading is, I Have Dominion. I know that there is a God power at the center of every man's being, a power that knows neither lack, limitation, nor fear, sickness, disquiet, nor imperfection. But out of my personal experience come the negative suggestions which arise from the race consciousness. If I permit them to, they act as a mesmeric or hypnotic power over my imagination. They bring up arguments from every man's experience, declaring that impoverishment and pain must necessarily accompany every man in his experience through life. But I know that there is a presence, a power, and a law within me, irresistibly drawing everything into my experience, which makes life worthwhile. I know that friendship, love, and riches, health, and harmony, and happiness are mine. I know that nothing but good can go out from me. Therefore, the good that I receive is but the completion of a circle, a fulfillment of my desire for all. So I refuse to judge according to appearances, either mental or physical, no matter what the thought says or what the appearance seems to be. Today I acknowledge the presence and the power of the living Spirit, and I invite it to lead me into pathways of peace, of health, and of happiness and wholeness. I permit the divine Spirit to lead me into the Garden of Eden, for I know that in this garden there grows the fruit of peace and joy and happiness. And I know that the river that waters this garden flows from the heart of eternal love. As I bathe in this river of life, I permit everything to be washed away that does not belong to the kingdom of good. There is always a higher power. Upon this power I rely with absolute confidence that it will never fail me. I have dominion over all apparent evil, which is merely a belief I no longer indulge in. I repudiate all its claims, cast out every fear accompanying the belief in it, and continuously exercise the domain which rightfully belongs to me. Embrace change. So we're not here to assimilate and to imitate, to embody what we see, what we hear, and then to imitate it. That's not what we're here to do. And Joe Dispenza would say that that is breaking the habit of being yourself. Breaking the habit of being yourself. In his book, he says that this assimilation and imitation leads to a linear life. A life that lacks real meaning. Let me just pause right there and see how many of us go into that space where we're asking ourselves, well, what is this really about? What is life really about? We often have those conversations with ourselves. And so he says that in breaking the habit of being yourself and letting go of assimilation and imitation and this thought, this space where life just has no real meaning. So many of us are trying to figure this thing called life out. Many of us are trying to figure this thing called life out, so that we can live a life that's rich and full and meaningful. And in this teaching, we say that change is a requirement. And not only is it a requirement, it is the only requirement to change. And more than change, I think there is an invitation to embrace change. That's like leveling up. To embrace it, to cherish it, to welcome it into our life, to embrace it. And embracing change is not passive. It's not passive. We're not sitting around waiting on something to happen so that we can spring into action. So I was talking to someone, and we were talking about the principles and the practices, and they started talking to me about their family, their siblings, their mom and their dad. And then eventually the conversation got to this point where they said, well, what am I supposed to do when that happens? You know, when she started acting crazy? When this one loses his mind? What am I supposed to do? Now what am I supposed to do, Reverend Twana? When things happen. Because things always happen. Things happen. Things will happen, and you and I will become aware that when things do happen, that we are becoming aware that when things happen, that we're at choice. We're at choice how we respond to it, whether we're going to react or whether we're going to respond. We're at choice. But today, I'm wanting us to go a little bit deeper in our conversation about embracing change. And I'm reading something from the Science of Mind textbook. It's on page 414. And in it, Ernest Holmes says that only when we put our very best into our spiritual work will it satisfy us. A spiritual power is released through true thinking that is as much a law as is chemical affinity. There is no deliverance of the real self without mental conviction. To have faith in God is to follow this faith through by having faith in the self. The real self is God, and as such is to be implicitly trusted. The spark which burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living and the eternal flame of the Spirit. Only when we put our very best into our spiritual work will it satisfy us. Change takes preparation, and change takes courage. To embrace change, it takes preparation, and it takes courage. So, and wanting us to go a little bit deeper then, I'm wanting us to look at things in our lives that if we would shine a light on them, that we would see the things that's no longer serving